Hey, this is Little Talk with Big Nikki.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Little Talks with Big Nikki. I am your host, Big Nikki. How is everybody doing? Wow, 2020 is crazy, isn't it? These are some crazy times, man. Wow. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be healthy. I hope I stay healthy. I know everybody is probably so sick and tired of talking about this coronavirus, but we got to talk about it. I got to talk about it. I got some things I got to say. So we are going to be talking about coronavirus on this episode of the podcast. I'm going to try to keep it as upbeat and as positive as possible. I know there's enough negative news out there in the world and stuff, kind of going on. So I'm going to try and keep it upbeat as much as I can for y'all. As you can see, sets kind of changed a little bit. We got a puppy. If you didn't watch my most recent vlog, you should go watch it. It's called We Got a Puppy. It's on my YouTube channel, Big Nikki. Look me up. Subscribe if you don't already. And yeah, we got a dog, so living room went through some rearrangements. He's actually at doggy boot camp is what I'm calling it, but it's actually called like a board and train, where he is getting trained to be a good puppy and not a wild child that he is. He's very, very sweet. He's a very loving dog. He just needs some refinement because right now he's just a little rough around the edges. He's got that puppy energy, puppy nature in him. He just needs some discipline, control. So for the next 2.5 weeks, he is at a board and train here in Cleveland. I believe they're called Miracle K9, but this is Becca's dog. So for everybody, just so you know, this is my roommate, Becca. This is her dog, her spiel, her responsibility. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I'm just here for the ride for the next couple months that we're living together. I'll walk him if she needs me to, or, I'll of course pet him and play with him. But I am not the main caretaker or provider or, so any details, don't ask me questions because I probably don't know the answer. Also, I'm not a dog person. This is the first time I've ever had a dog live with me, where I'm living. I grew up with cats. We are cat people. My mom's a cat person. We don't do dogs. So this is all really new to me. It's been fun. It's been crazy, but it's been fun. So anyway, and then as you all are probably more than aware, we are on self-quarantine. Is that what we're calling it? Social distancing, if you will. So Becca is here working from home, so she's kind of in the living room. So I'm gonna try to be doing my stuff in my room as much as I can, so we're not bothering each other. When she's trying to do something, I'm trying to do something. So we'll see how the next couple weeks goes. So yeah, let's just get into what the past week has been at least for me, and what I've been seeing and what I've been dealing with. Sorry, that sounds really selfish, but I want to talk about this because I know I'm not the only one, which I'm going to get into. Okay, so remember y'all, this is relatable. This is for everybody. We're all going through the same thing. We are literally all going through the same thing right now, which is why I want to talk about this, try to get some positivity, and bring some light to this whole situation. So we were on spring break. So I go to Cleveland State, for any of you that don't know that, and we were on spring break the 8th through the, what would that be, the 15th or the 16th. That weekend to that weekend was our spring break. That is when kind of the height of the corona scare, I think, occurred, at least here in the US. Cases started coming in. Quarantine kind of started to become a term and a thing. And it was midway through spring break. It was Wednesday. And we were kind of crap. Are they, because schools around us were already canceling, OSU, if you go there. I know they were one of the first, if not the first in Ohio to say yo, we're done. for, like the rest of the semester we're going like remote, and then YSU jumped on the bandwagon, Case Western. We were kind of like one of the last schools, and we had the first case here in Cuyahoga County in Cleveland. We had like the first Ohio case of corona, and Cleveland State was one of the last schools to officially like say, hey, we're gonna go remote through April 13th. So like the day after Easter, we'll resume classes like normal. We're gonna give you an extended spring break, which is this week that I'm currently filming this in. So that is through, hold on, I have to look at the date because I don't even know what day it is anymore. The 16th through the 20th, pretty much. They were like, is your extended spring break, and pretty much what that was for was to get our faculty and our teachers all set up and comfortable with doing remote learning, pretty much, because this is stuff most people have never had to do before. I mean, unless you teach online classes, which a lot of classes at CSU aren't even really offered online, especially upper level courses. Like I'm in 300 and 400 level marketing classes and stuff. I'm in my capstone class, which is 400 level management class. Like that's not usually offered online. So a lot of these teachers, it's like a learning curve for them. I can't even imagine like midway through the semester you got to switch like everything you had planned to being remote, and some things got to come off the syllabus and some things got to go on and replace things, and it's just like a giant thing. So they gave us an extra week of spring break so faculty and staff could get their stuff together, and we're going to officially start remote learning this coming Monday, which by the time you guys are seeing this would be this past Monday, but that is March 23rd, that we're starting remote learning. One of the saddest emails I've gotten in recent days has been from Cleveland State. I believe they emailed us, what was that, maybe Tuesday? Probably Tuesday if I had to guess. So around the 17th of March, that we will not be returning to classes at all. The rest of the spring semester is strictly remote learning. Commencement has been postponed with no rescheduled date as of yet. The event that I talked to you guys about me speaking at, the Radiant Scholarship event, where they asked me to be the student speaker, that event is postponed until they're guessing early fall is when they're going to try to reschedule it. So let me talk about the college aspect for a minute here, because I'm not the only one feeling this way, and I know this through Instagram and Twitter. Being that a lot of my peers are in my class, we are supposed to be graduating in about 8 weeks. My commencement was scheduled for May 9th. I was supposed to be walking across the stage and getting my 2 diplomas that I've worked very hard for these past 4 years. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And I know people will say like, oh, I'm sure they'll reschedule it and like you'll still get to walk and like get your diploma and like all this stuff. But it's like, I literally just went like 2 weekends ago to the store with my mom to buy my graduation dress. And it was like, oh, like this is so exciting. Like this is like getting real. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is getting real. And inviting my family. Me and my mom have been like talking to like family members and like my friends and inviting them to graduation, inviting them to dinner like afterward, and it's just like so excited for like this new chapter to start, for my college chapter to close. As all of us who are supposed to be graduating, even high schoolers who are supposed to be graduating, college seniors who are supposed to be graduating, it's difficult. To people who, I don't know, I feel like if you're not in it, you don't understand the feeling of the disappointment. It almost makes me want to cry. I'm not going to, but it's not the same. It's not going to be the same if in September they're like, oh yeah, like we'll hold like your commencement ceremony. Like, okay, big whoop. I graduated 4 months ago now. And, you know, it's like all you want to do is like be able to like have this celebratory time with your friends and your family, the people that like literally got you through the last 4 years. And like the other part to this too, and like I'm speaking just for me, I can't speak for everyone who is graduating, but I have no work to go to. This was supposed to be a time I had things scheduled. I have emails sent out to people where was just starting to like try to get the ball rolling, trying to get my feet wet. Doing freelance work is what I really want to be doing, freelance and independent contracting. I've made a lot of great connections in recent weeks. And I was supposed to be going there and getting those opportunities rolling and started and hopefully turning that into consistent, repeated work opportunities. And that's gone now. For now. I understand that it's not really gone. I understand that once this virus passes over, whenever that is, that, you know, I will still be able to reach out to those people and hopefully have those same opportunities with them. But it's the fact of like, it's like the middle of March, just had spring break. I was like, I'm halfway through the semester. This is my last semester, trying to make the most out of it, trying to enjoy it, trying to have fun with these last couple weeks of school, with, you know, just being excited about like these new work opportunities that, you know, like I'm finally gonna be out of school and like get to work. And another thing is like I'm apartment hunting right now, again, as probably a lot of seniors are, whether you're a high school senior and you're trying to like get into like a college dorm or a college apartment for the coming fall, or, you know, like if you're leaving college, you're probably moving out of your college apartment or out of your college dorm, maybe even to a new city, and it's like literally that is on hold. And to kind of switch over to the financial aspect of all this, I have no money. This was supposed to be, these next couple months was supposed to be a season of me working as much as I could to save what I could to be able to afford an apartment come July and put a deposit down and give my first month's rent and a holding fee and all these things that come with moving, like furniture costs. Like, this was supposed to be a time of me saving that money, and now it's literally flipped to I don't even know if I'm gonna have enough money for food in 2 weeks. Like, this virus, listen, like, I'm not at all downplaying that, like, people are like very, very sick and people are dying, and like that in and of itself is very scary. But I'm just talking to you guys from what I am experiencing, at least right now, in my like current bubble of peers and people and like my life experience. Thank God I'm not sick. Thank God nobody I directly know as of right now is sick. And I pray it stays that way. But this has been a very difficult week for me mentally. I am also an extrovert, and so I get my replenishment from being with people and doing things and going places, and to be told you can't, you shouldn't, for very good reason, but it doesn't make it any less difficult to accept that and to not see people and not talk to people and not go places. Like, I'm not really that much of a homebody. I don't like being home a ton. I have been the past couple days like in a very unclear like mental headspace where I've been frustrated, I've been angry, I've been like upset. People are talking, because I know some cities have already done the shelter in place, like, are we gonna have to move to that? Oh my gosh, like, very unproductive, very like I have a list of things to do and I have no motivation to do them. Just I've kind of been making the joke, but I'm very serious at this point. Like for me personally right now, I am more worried about my mental health than my physical health, because this is difficult for me, and I know other extroverts have expressed similar things. Like it's hard. Like a lot of you introverts, like I know you're not really gonna get it, because this is probably like heaven for you. I actually saw like a meme on Twitter, and it was like when introverts find out that their lifestyle is quarantine, which is like a funny joke, but it's like true. Like, not saying y'all won't go stir crazy if you're in your apartment or your house like long enough, but like y'all can like be okay. Like you guys are like cats. Like you can just like curl up in a ball, like with a book, like on like watching TV, and like you're good. You don't need to socialize. You don't need to go out. Us extroverts, we're like a dog that hasn't been on a walk for 2 weeks. Like that's like the feeling, in the best way I can describe it. So mentally, that just everything that I just talked about with college stuff being canceled and just life events kind of being put on hold and not being sure of your future, like literally where I'm living, where I'm working, where my money's coming from. This past week has been mentally draining, just mentally exhausting. Sorry, I know I told y'all I was trying not to be negative, but I need to get that out of the way, and I'm not sorry, because we need to talk about this. Like we need to talk about like everybody right now is, I feel like, kind of holding back a little bit because they don't really want to say anything about like how they're feeling, because it's like we're supposed to be concerned about like the greater population, like everybody involved. Like, oh my gosh, people are dying, and that is absolutely 100% like very important, and we do need to be concerned about that. We do need to be concerned about our elderly. And anymore, like I read a statistic from CNN, like 20% of people who have been hospitalized like with the coronavirus are between the ages of 20 and 44. So really young people at this rate, we're not really exempt from this either, or from being impacted by it. Is the chances of us dying as high? Definitely not. Like we'll probably bounce back and we'll probably be fine. Like most of us, especially if you don't have like an autoimmune disorder, we'll probably be okay. But so yes, we need to focus on like the health and the greater good, and you know, doing stuff like this, like social distancing, if not for you, then for someone else who, if they do get sick, it's not going to end well for them. You know, like we do need to think of these things as very important and very serious. However, I don't think that we should ignore on the individual level how people are coping and feeling and trying to deal with this, because there's a lot of people who have just lost their jobs. They don't know, and I understand that like supply or utility companies have like frozen, kind of like they're not going to shut your power off if you don't pay your bill and like all this stuff, but there's still like so much like unknown. Like, okay, well, what about my rent? Like my rent is due. Are they going to kick me out of my apartment if I can't pay my rent? My credit card bill is due. Like I got a thing from Discover the other day, and they were pretty much telling me that if I was struggling with paying my bill because of the coronavirus, aka like you've lost your job or your income, then they would help you out, or like whatever the thing is, like you're supposed to call them. My dad said, I'm telling you right now, they're still going to charge you interest. They're not going to make you pay the bill like when it's due. They won't like charge you like a late fee maybe, but they're still going to charge you interest because you didn't pay your like balance. And so it's just like little stuff like that. Like I understand companies are really trying to do like the best that they can do. Like Pink has shut down, Lush has shut down, like they're still paying their employees, but like they are closed. Even Pink's online stores are closed. There are some people who are lucky enough that they work for a company and they have a job where they will be fine for the next couple weeks / months. Oh God, I hope it's not months. And they can work from home and still make a salary and still make a living, and that's great. But there's a lot of us who literally depend on work from things who have been canceled. I know my circle, freelancers, creatives, I work events. Literally for iHeart, I work events. For athletics, I work events like sporting events, basketball games. I work events when I do photography most times. Like, it's me shooting an event. Like, this is what my job is, and there are no events. And there's probably not going to be events for a very hot minute. I also mentioned, like, I'm a production assistant from time to time on, like, commercial shoots. And the DP that I work for, he was telling me, like, the next year is going to be very rough for all of us, like, freelancers trying to get gigs like that, in commercial work at least, because the first thing that's going to get cut for businesses, because the money's not coming in like it usually is media budgets. So the budgets to do a 30-second commercial spot, even just a local one, is not going to be a priority. It's just not, which leaves us out of a lot of work. It's just a very scary time of not knowing what the future holds. But this is where I want to start to try to transition about the positives to all this, which is very hard for me because I'm just naturally not that positive of a person. I'm very real. I'm a realist. Which is why I'm telling you like it is and talking like it is. It has not been easy. But let me just conclude that thought with, I don't think that we should negate people's personal and individual struggles with this, or how they're dealing with it, or how they're coping. Your feelings are valid. You are not alone in this. To all of my seniors across the board, you were supposed to graduate, I'm with you. I feel you. It is frustrating. It is so upsetting. You're not alone. Like, I get it. Like, we get it. To the freelancers, and even if you're not a freelancer but you had like a job at like a salon, a restaurant, any of these places that have just been shut down, and like, that is your work, that is your income. I'm with you. I'm feeling it. Again, you are not alone. I don't know what the solution's going to be. I am not a politician. I don't know what the government's going to do or not do. But again, just, you are not alone in this, because there's a lot of us struggling in these things, and it can, and it probably will take a little bit of a mental toll. But let's switch gears to, like, this is how we gotta deal with it and cope with things. So I want to talk about, first and foremost, my church, King's Church, Lakewood, Ohio. If you don't have a church, if you're looking for a church, please, you are more than welcome to King's. Obviously not right now because doors are closed, because we don't want anyone getting corona. But once life resumes as normal, you are more than welcome to King's Church. Our leadership team responded very well, very fast, to everything. The Ohio government, like Governor DeWine, like, did an amazing job. I think one of the best and quickest and healthiest responses that most states have probably seen. Our government really has stepped up these past few weeks to keep us as healthy and safe as possible. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm praying for them and their leadership and, wisdom to make those types of hard decisions that affect people's livelihoods. And the problem is there's nowhere to place the anger. There's nowhere to place the frustration or the blame, because it's nobody's fault. It's literally because of this invisible monster that is just attacking people's bodies. I think that's what makes it almost harder, is there's no place to direct your frustration or your sadness, because you can't place it on the government, because then you're like, man, like, yeah, I don't want to get corona, like, thank you for closing down my work, but also this really sucks. It's like a two-sided thing. But getting back to King's, they have done an excellent job. We have servant leaders, at least, we have a Zoom call. Right now, it's every Tuesday and Thursday evening, where we literally just get on for a half hour to an hour and just pray. We have certain people from our prayer team just pray over certain aspects of the situation. And, you know, if you have a prayer request, like, you can put it in the chat and they'll pray over it. Just amazing, the refreshment that brings my soul. I'm so grateful for everyone on prayer team and everyone on King's Church leadership for giving us the opportunity to do that. It's very restful and just refreshing, because especially after the past couple days, like all day, I'm just in my head and frustrated and upset and whatever else I'm feeling. And then just to be on that call and realize, like, this is bigger than me. Again, not negating your individual feelings or issues with this, but also realizing that it is bigger than you. And right now, like, what else is there to do than pray? I'm sorry if you're not a person of faith, but in these situations, you are so out of control. You have no control over anything that's going on. You have no control anymore over your finances, your health, nothing. Like, literally, I don't know what else you do but pray. Like, what else is there to do but pray? And again, I'm not claiming to be perfect. I'm not trying to sound righteous. Like, I suck at praying. I don't always make it a priority. Don't always do it very well. But it's like, man, I hop on these calls and just hearing prayers going up to heaven, even if I'm not really like believing what I'm hearing, because it's hard for me to believe right now. It's hard to have faith in some areas, and my faith is being tested in some areas. It's so spiritually refreshing to hear words going up to heaven. I have no other way of saying it. This is where God kind of like hit me. So events for iHeart had officially all been canceled. Athletics here at Cleveland State officially canceled, especially because our women's basketball coach was found to be positive with coronavirus. So that was real nice and scary and great. And then freelance work, done. One of the meetings I was supposed to have on the 17th, actually, they emailed me and said, like, please don't come in. And I totally understand, totally respect that. But at the same time, there again, it's like a double thing where it's like, totally understand. I don't really want to be around people either, but man, this really freaking sucks. So Tuesday on the prayer call with our team, and actually one of the women on the prayer team, she was one of our student life coordinators here at Cleveland State for a while. So I actually know her like personally because I was, doing student org stuff, and she kind of was one of the go-to people for some of that stuff when activities and events and things were occurring and where that stuff was concerned. So kind of have like a personal relationship with her, but she was praying, and she had prayed for like a couple other things, and I was like, man, like she prays so well. Like, there's just something in how she words things. It's just very nice, very refreshing. And one of the last things she prayed for on Tuesday was for finances, for people who were getting word. This was like right when the restaurants and bars were closing. People getting word of like, hey, you don't have work anymore, or your hours are cut, or whatever the case is, like you're pretty much unemployed until further notice. And I was sitting in that boat, literally trying to think, like, in 2 weeks' time, I don't even know how I'm paying for groceries, is where my brain's at. I can't make this up. This is stuff from God, that is just so mind-blowing that I can't make it up. And this is the thing about going through rough times and going through uncertain times, is it will all be a part of your testimony to how good he continues to be and has been. And I don't know why I still worry. I don't know why I still lack faith in these times, because every time he comes through, every single time, it's like, Nicole, do you not remember just 2 weeks ago when he did this? Oh, ye little faith. That's me for sure. There again, love God, trust God, know what he's capable of doing, but it's always asking the question of, are you gonna do it? And when? Because you're looking at your bank account getting smaller and smaller, and you're like, anytime now. Literally during this prayer for people's financial situation, stability, etc., I'm on my laptop on the Zoom call, and I hear, because at that point I still had my notifications on, so it made like a little boop boop when a notification came through, because I had my sound on, and it was an email from my boss at iHeart, pretty much asking me and one of the other girls on our team if we would be willing to pretty much split up responsibility of running the Instagram for our Kiss FM station 96.5. He said, I'll give you guys like 10 to 15 hours a week. And I was just like, what? Because honestly, I usually don't even work 10 to 15 hours a week, especially the past couple months in the winter, because like we just don't have as many events in the winter. I usually don't even get that many hours. I'll be lucky if I hit 10. And I was just like, oh wow, okay. So the next day, me and her talked, and we're like, okay, like you'll do this day, I'll do this day, kind of thing, like get a game plan going, split some things up. And so we send in our game plan, and she kind of says, hey, like, how do you want us to clock these hours? Like, or how do you want us to like time our hours? Cause it's like an hourly rate. So, all this stuff. And he goes, is 20 each fair? 20 hours a week to both of you. Is that fair? I was like, is that fair? Like, that's amazing. Like, I don't know how I didn't start crying in that moment. I'll tell him this when it's all over, if he doesn't hear, if he doesn't listen to my podcast, but I don't think that he and iHeart will ever understand how much of a burden was lifted off of my shoulders with that one email. Because up until that point, I literally had no income coming in until God knows when. And I know people are kind of talking like, oh, like you could go get a job, or like it might not be what you want to do, but like go get a job. But then it's also like, should I be around people? Should I be working right now? That doesn't sound safe. Like this whole social distancing, like I understand there are still people who are working. Thank God for them. I bless their hearts, bless their health. Grocery store workers and factory workers and stuff like that. But it's also like, okay, physically, like health-wise, do I want to put myself at that risk to, if someone even is hiring right now, like take a job that would put me at risk for getting sick? I don't know. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to sound like lazy. I'm not trying to sound like, oh, like I'm just gonna not work and like try to get the benefits that I can get from that. Which, for anyone wondering, like I can't even file for unemployment really, because I'm on my own like business. So it's kind of like, it's one of those weird things where it's like, well, yeah, if I was just like literally unemployed and the world was still turning like it usually does, then yeah, like go get a job, even if it's something you don't really want to do, and work it anyway for the time being. But it's also like there's other factors at hand now, like how many people am I going to be around? Am I going to be exposed? Like it seems kind of risky. So that email, that's like 20 hours a week. Like I usually like I said, for iHeart, especially like just for iHeart, I usually don't work 20 hours a week. So there again, is that going to be a ton of money? Am I going to be rolling in it and being able to buy whatever I want for the next couple weeks? Absolutely not. But at least that is something that is coming in that for the time being can pay my grocery bill, my electric bill, and what else do I have that I just forgot about? I don't know. Oh, my credit card bill. See, I knew there was like 3 major things. Yeah. So it's something. And so thank you, God. Thank you, God. Like, he's going to take care of me. There again, is it like above and beyond right now? No, but I have no idea what could manifest in the next couple weeks. Maybe an opportunity will come that will put it above and beyond. Like, I don't know, but I'm just thanking God right now, giving him praise for giving me something in this time when I could very easily have nothing. So the other thing I want to say about Kings is like, we're doing the prayer thing. Pastor Noah has been pretty active on Instagram, doing some like Instagram lives and stuff as well, to keep us all engaged, giving us like short messages. Pre-recorded worship kind of experiences have been done, at least for the next couple weeks. So every Sunday, like, there'll be worship and like a short message from him. And then we also got wind Monday of this past week, so it was at March 16th, that small groups have been moved virtually, because now at this rate the CDC is saying like even groups, excuse me, I'm burping, even groups of under 10 people or like 10 people are not really safe to limit exposure. Pretty much like no groups should be a thing. So we have moved small groups virtually, and so that's a little bit of a change. Also, just to kind of catch you up on my life, I am now a co-leader for a women's small group. Some things happened. Leadership kind of had to change in a short amount of time, and I was asked along with one of the other girls in my group, Michaela, if we would co-lead the women's small group that we were in or are in. So yeah, technically like a small group leader now, for this session at least, and which is really exciting. Kind of crazy again how God works, because 6 months ago or so when I was in that session, I guess I was like nominated as someone who would be like a good leader potentially for a small group. So they reached out to me and said like, hey, like, you were nominated, saying that, you know, you'd be a good leader, like, are you interested in leading a small group for this season? And that would have been like for this spring that we're currently in. And I was like, no, not really. Like, I don't think I'll lead a small group. Granted, past couple months has been spiritually very dry for me, very rough in that area of my life. So I knew that I was not at a capacity to lead others because I couldn't even lead myself. And one of my friends told me that that's what makes me a good leader, is the fact that I could even recognize that, which I guess is true. But yeah, and then so I think it's funny how I was like, no, God, like, I'm not gonna lead a small group, like, whatever. And he was like, okay, well, like, we may not do it this way, but we'll do it this way. Gonna get you there eventually, because that's where he wants you, that's where he's gonna get you. Even if you're like, no, God, I'm not going to Nineveh. He'll send a whale. That whale will eat you right up till your butt gets to Nineveh. Am I right? Story of Jonah, everybody. Everybody knows the story of Jonah and the whale. Jonah was supposed to go to Nineveh, and he was like, nah, God, I'm gonna go this way. And then God was like, okay, I'll send a giant fish to put you in his belly and then spit you out once you get to Nineveh. How about that? Yeah, so kind of not as elaborate or as gross as the Jonah story, but kind of my own version of the Jonah trying to avoid going to Nineveh story. So yeah, so small groups are virtual, which I'm interested to see. I haven't had my session yet. It's every Saturday morning, so we'll see how it goes. That's tomorrow from the day I'm recording this, but I have full expectation. If it goes anything like the prayer calls have been going, I think like we'll be good, and I'm excited to connect with the girls. And I think at this point we're all just craving whatever form of human interaction we can get at this point. So I think that'll be good. I'm excited for that. Also, the past couple days, I think, like I said, one of the most important things we could be doing right now is praying. But also, I've been staying on my first 15 rhythm Kings gave us. It's 5 minutes of Bible reading, 5 minutes of prayer, 5 minutes worship. I've been doing a pretty steady job of that. And I just kind of felt like on my heart earlier this week that maybe I need to do like an IG live for the Bible reading time, because I know I've been a little unmotivated to stay with it, and I feel like other people are too, just because like everybody's routine is just kind of like turned upside down at this point, and people kind of don't know like what to do with themselves. And I know I saw a lot of tweets about people saying like the best thing you can do is stay in a routine, like still shower, still get dressed, like do all the things, like you're leaving kind of, but then you're not leaving. So I just felt like kind of on my heart, like, okay, like let's do like a couple IG lives a week maybe. So I did my first one yesterday, and I think it went fairly well. I think what I need to do for next time is like actually read it in advance, maybe prepare some notes and then do it, because I also want this to be for people who maybe aren't in the Bible or don't know the Bible, like that they can hop on and still feel like they understand what's going on or what's being said. And like of course, like I would love for anybody and everybody to hop on, like have a discussion about like what is going on in these times, and kind of like what the scripture's saying and things like that. So just been praying over that, but I feel like that's kind of something new like I'll be doing at least in the coming weeks. I mean, maybe if it turns into like a thing that people really like, then I'll continue with it after, again, this whole virus thing kind of blows over. But yeah, I think just staying in the Word. And so the last like 2 days, I feel like have been mentally better for me. I feel like I've been kind of productive. No, I mean, I've been productive. I have. And, I think I want to be more productive. And it's like, I want to try to find a line where it's like, okay, at this point, I'm going to stop working on schoolwork. Like, there's always something to do for school. If you're a college student, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. Like, there's literally always another assignment you could be doing. So I feel like I need to create like a stopping point for myself where maybe like I can read an actual book. I have plenty of books on my shelf here beside me that I've either started or haven't started that I want to read. And it's like, as sucky as like this all is from one standpoint, I've seen like a lot of things where it's like the earth is finally getting to breathe from just pollution and things caused by like human travel and day-to-day things that we just all do, and it's kind of like the earth is finally getting to rest. And maybe like I feel like especially all of our societies anymore, pretty much like any developed country, I feel like we all move so quickly, and I'm one of those people. Like I thrive, like I am most productive and most happy when my schedule is full and busy, because then like that's when I'm most just productive in everything, because it's like, oh, I only have this much time to get this done, I have to get it done now, where it's almost too much of this free time is like not good for me, and it causes like the unproductive and the laziness, but at the same time it's kind of like is this maybe, like, I'm not saying, like, see, this gets into, like, theology and, like, all this stuff. I'm not saying, like, God, like, created the virus, sent the virus, wanted us to all be infected with the virus, but I'm almost, they say, like, whatever is evil, like, he still turns it for good. So it's almost like, even if this isn't from God necessarily, like, the virus itself, it's like, is he using it as, like, a breath of just, like, refreshment and relaxation for all of us, for the planet. The planet has been just, if you know me, environmentally, our planet, she's suffering. She's suffering right now. Our wildlife is suffering. Fires are happening. Utah just had an earthquake. We've had, like, massive hurricanes over the past couple years, just like, weather-wise, like, everything affects everything. And maybe it was just time for a cleanse for not only us in our personal lives to just kind of slow down, and maybe reassess some things, but also for the planet to just kind of cleanse and get a break for once. Get a break from trying to keep up with, how many people are there? The 7 billion of us that there are, to just get a break from that. So there again, not that this is good, not that the virus is good, not that this situation of people being sick and not working is good, but maybe some good can come of it. And if anything, I feel like, as much as, like, there's some things that I've seen where it's almost like people, like, against people, like people my age, for instance, like, still going on spring break and being like, I don't care if I get it, but, like, they're not really thinking of the elderly population in Florida, like, things like that. As much as, like, there's that stuff out there, I feel like equally there is a kind of like a rejuvenation of, like, human morality and, like, just human spirit and kindness towards one another, where, like, people are actually, like, checking in on one another, and people are being creative and funny because people know, like, that everyone's kind of struggling right now. So it's like, oh, like, well, can we make, like, a funny video that would, like, make somebody laugh? Or do we want to sing a song that'll bring some people some, like, art? I saw, like, there was it in Barcelona, I think? There was a Twitter video going around of the guy on his balcony playing his piano, and then his neighbor grabbed his saxophone and, like, joined in, and, like, they're playing together, even though they're, a couple hundred feet away from their balconies. But it's just, like, the beauty in just all of us trying to band together to make it through this is also somewhat, like, refreshing, especially, like, when a lot of the times, like, the news is just all, like, war and guns and murders and just all this, like, nasty, evil stuff. And it's like, is there any decent people out there anymore? And it's kind of like, this is, I think, bringing about, like, showing, like, even halfway across the world, like, yeah, like, there are like, decent people. There's talented people. There's people who have been sick, who have recovered, who are sharing their stories now. Like, I think that's, like, really great and inspirational. And hopefully will, enlighten some people who aren't taking this maybe very seriously, like, that it is serious. But yeah, I think there's, like, some good in all of this, I think, like I said, that there's just, like, a renewal of, like, banding together and just trying to make the best out of this that we all can. I want to read some things kind of in closing here. Sorry, I have to look on my Instagram because so let me just share 2 of the verses. This is from Proverbs 1. I'm kind of reading through the book of Proverbs. Also, follow me on Instagram. It's Nicole, NICOLE _MERLINO 14. And I'll be I'll probably be doing, like I said, more of those live Bible readings, or just reading through scripture together. I don't really have like certain days or times, but just kind of follow me, keep tabs on that if that's something you're interested in. I would love to have you join, but kind of reading through Proverbs right now. This was from a couple days ago, so this is Proverbs 1. But it says, when you grab all you can get, that's what happens. The more you get, the less you are. And I feel like that just kind of spoke from the perspective of there again, it's like not all about you. It's so easy to be selfish in these times, but it's like selfishness isn't going to get any of us anywhere any quicker. I know I had like a couple moments where I was like, well, no, like I'm still gonna go here and like do this, and my roommate was like, I really wish you wouldn't. And it kind of between her and like stuff I was seeing on social media, it's like I kind of rethought that, canceled some things with some people to make that decision. Again, not that I was really worried about getting sick, but what if I was a carrier and I got somebody else sick? So yeah, trying like not to be selfish in this time. I know it's very easy because I know, again, a lot of us are worried and things are uncertain, but it's just being aware that like you're not the only person going through this, and like everybody else is thinking and going through the same thing. And then just another verse from Proverbs 1 is, carelessness kills, complacency is murder. First, pay attention to me, and then relax. Now you can take it easy. You're in good hands. That, of course, just was so beautiful and spoke to me. Again, I think in this time it's so important to, wherever you're at with faith, man, just pray. Read some scripture, read something life-giving that can fill your soul, because Lord knows, like, my well has been dry as can be. I feel like my mental and my spiritual energy has been like expended on worry, and again, not that it should be, like, Christians like to talk about like worry isn't a Christian thing, like you shouldn't worry, but it's like, okay, I'm also human, like worry is very natural. I think we need to not like condemn people who are worried, but it's like, okay, you can be worried for like a little bit, for like a hot minute, but then it's like, what is your response to worry? How are you going to try to deal with the worry? And they say like, give like all your cares to God, like give him your burdens, like he is there to carry your burdens and those weights. And that's very true, but it's also very, very hard to just give up your worry to God, because there again, that takes faith. And there again, you know God is able, you know that he can, but you don't know if he will or when he will. So that's my little tangent. It's okay to be afraid right now. It's okay to be worried. You're not a bad Christian. If that's like your lifestyle, like if you are a Christian, if you are a believer, you are not a bad Christian. God is not going to give you the boot and never speak to you again or be in your life because you are feeling anxious in this time. It's just, what is your response to that anxiety and that worry? It probably needs to be prayer and reading. And I know that sounds very spiritual, a very typical Christian response, but I really don't think there is a better answer. Of course, like if you do other things like exercise, yoga, meditation, like that stuff can also be great. I think that those are like things that God gives us as tools to de-stress and de-worry. That's not really a word. De-worry ourselves. But I think we can't just do those things because they're still gonna not leave us filled the way we need to be filled. And it's a continuous thing, because guess what? You're gonna say, Tuesday night, you're gonna say, God, I'm worried. I don't have money. And then guess what? Wednesday comes, you still don't have money. So you go back Wednesday night, God, I'm worried. I don't have money. God, I know you're good. I know you got me, but I'm worried. Like, honest prayers are the best prayers you can pray. Like, be real with it. Stop being fake. Stop telling everybody and telling God that you got it all together and handled on your own, because you don't. You don't. Be real. He already knows how you're feeling, so you might as well tell him how you're feeling. You feel? Okay, sorry, that was like my little tangent on that. So this is just like the last thing I want to read. This kind of has to do with the earth, like I was talking about, like the earth just having time to kind of replenish and cleanse from human activity. But I thought that this was so beautiful, written by someone who by the name of Kitty O'Mara, I believe her name is, if I said that right. A lot of you probably have seen this on Instagram or Twitter or somewhere, but if you haven't, just want to read it. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. I just think that's so beautiful, because it kind of tells us that maybe once we start taking care of ourselves, dealing with our issues and our hurts and what we're experiencing, maybe then we'll be more compassionate, not only to each other and everybody else's stories and hurts, but also being more compassionate to the earth and our planet as well. So I think that is such just a beautiful quote. So yeah, I just kind of want to wrap up by saying that, again, you are not alone. You are not the only one going through this. We are all going through this together. I think one of the most encouraging things is Pastor Noah put out a thing, a hashtag called The New Medicine. So if you are an artist, you are a creative, please don't stop creating. Please don't lose your art and your passions. Point them maybe at different things that maybe you usually don't have time to do, and post them to give other people hope and fulfilling content, and use the hashtag New Medicine. So just want to leave you with that thought. Go to God. He hears all of us right now. He knows that this is not an easy time, but this is where some of the greatest testimonies and stories are going to come out of. Keep loving one another from a distance. Keep being kind. Try not to be selfish. I know it's hard in these times, but don't buy all the toilet paper, guys. Okay, that's like my only toilet paper joke, I swear. But I appreciate you guys so much for listening. In the coming weeks, we're just going to have more honest discussions. Hopefully it's not just going to be about Corona, but I wanted to, at least for just this initial podcast with this virus coming out, have an honest and open discussion about kind of some of the things that have been going on in my life, at least. Please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Please follow and download if you're listening to this on other streaming platforms. I appreciate you guys so much for listening. I hope you all have a safe and blessed week. Stay positive, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.